Investigators documented blood appearing from a statue's hand. Then the wounds appeared on a nun miles away from public attention. And when the church finally approved the case, the warnings became even harder to ignore. In 1973, inside a remote convent near the city of Akita in northern Japan, a 42-year-old nun named Sister Agnes Katsuko Sasagawa reported something unusual during prayer. At first, almost nobody outside the convent knew about it. There were no crowds, no public spectacle, only a small community of nuns inside the Institute of the Handmaids of the Holy Eucharist.
According to documented testimony, Sister Agnes developed a painful wound in the palm of her left hand. Witnesses described it as cross-shaped. Blood reportedly flowed from the wound repeatedly, but there was another detail investigators noted immediately. A wooden statue of the Virgin Mary inside the chapel appeared to develop a similar wound on its right hand. The resemblance disturbed several witnesses, because according to convent testimony, the wounds seemed connected. When Sister Agnes suffered pain, the statue allegedly changed as well. The statue began leaking blood. Not paint, not moisture. Witnesses claimed actual blood appeared from the hand wound. Photographs were taken. Clergy inspected the statue directly, and the phenomena reportedly continued over a period of years. But the blood was only the beginning. Soon, the statue allegedly began sweating, then crying. According to records gathered by church investigators, tears were reportedly observed on more than 100 occasions between 1975 and 1981. Some events occurred in front of multiple witnesses. Visitors claimed they watched liquid form in the statue's eyes and move down its face naturally. And then came the scientific examinations. The local bishop authorized laboratory testing on samples reportedly collected from the statue. According to published accounts, forensic analysis identified different substances from different events. The blood samples were reportedly human blood. The sweat was described as human perspiration, and the tears were reportedly identified as human tears. But even that finding created uncertainty, because investigators could not determine how a carved wooden statue could repeatedly produce those substances under observation. Skeptics proposed contamination or deliberate fraud. Others questioned the chain of custody for the samples. But investigators noted something difficult to dismiss. The reports continued for years without a clear financial motive, publicity campaign, or organized attempt to attract attention. In fact, the convent remained relatively isolated during much of the investigation. And according to testimony from clergy involved, Sister Agnes herself often resisted publicity surrounding the events. Then the messages began. According to the official account, Sister Agnes reported hearing these words in October of 1973. "The work of the devil will infiltrate even into the church, in such a way that one will see cardinals opposing cardinals, and bishops against bishops." The message continued with warnings about persecution, spiritual confusion, and punishment if humanity refused to repent. At the time, few people outside the convent paid attention. Akita was remote. The Catholic population in Japan was extremely small, and the claims sounded too extraordinary for many investigators to accept immediately. Yet the reports continued. Witnesses claimed the statue cried repeatedly over several years. One of the most widely discussed incidents occurred in front of visitors and clergy, who later signed written testimony describing what they believed they saw. Television crews eventually documented the phenomenon as well. Footage recorded in Japan appeared to show liquid forming near the statue's eyes. For believers, it became one of the strongest pieces of evidence connected to the case. Skeptics argued the recordings proved very little. They pointed out that unusual moisture or hidden manipulation could not be fully ruled out from video alone. But investigators focused on something else entirely. They focused on the people surrounding the events. According to testimony gathered over the years, there were no major profits connected to the claims. No nationwide tours, no massive fundraising operation, no attempt to build a religious empire around the statue.
In many ways, the convent remained quiet and isolated, despite the international attention slowly growing around it. And that isolation made the case harder to categorize. Then another detail complicated the investigation even further.
Sister Agnes, who had reportedly suffered near total deafness before the events began, claimed her hearing temporarily returned during some of the experiences. Medical professionals examined her condition over the years. Supporters considered the improvement miraculous. Critics argued that fluctuating medical symptoms can sometimes occur naturally. The Church moved cautiously. Catholic authorities rarely approve supernatural claims quickly, especially alleged Marian apparitions. Most reported cases are never officially recognized. Investigations can take decades. In Akita, local Bishop John Shojiro Ito spent years reviewing testimony, medical reports, scientific examinations, and witness statements. He interviewed clergy, examined the history of the convent, and studied the reported messages carefully. Finally, in 1984, after years of investigation, Bishop Ito issued a pastoral letter declaring that the events of Akita were worthy of belief. He authorized veneration of the Holy Mother of Akita within his diocese. That decision changed everything, because now the case was no longer just an isolated story from a hidden convent in northern Japan. It had received formal approval from a Catholic bishop after more than a decade of scrutiny. The Vatican never issued a universal declaration making Akita mandatory belief for Catholics, but reports later emerged that Cardinal Joseph Ratzinger, the future Pope Benedict XVI, viewed the ruling favorably. And over time, comparisons began appearing between Akita and another famous Marian apparition, Fatima.
Both involved warnings about humanity, suffering, and turmoil inside the Church. Both centered on messages many believers thought seemed increasingly relevant decades later. Even now, the Akita case remains deeply controversial. Skeptics continue questioning the scientific evidence, the reported miracles, and the reliability of witness testimony. Believers argue the years of investigation, combined with the bishop's approval, make the case difficult to dismiss completely. But regardless of where people stand, one fact remains undeniable. For years, inside a quiet convent in northern Japan, investigators documented claims they could not easily explain. Blood from a statue's hand, tears reportedly witnessed more than 100 times, and messages warning that faith itself would one day face a crisis from within. Decades later, the events of Akita are still debated by scientists, clergy, skeptics, and believers around the world. Because if even part of the testimony was true, the implications are difficult to ignore.